Maya Winters stood on her cabin porch, calling into the dark forest for the third night in a row. Her voice echoed back empty from the tall pine trees that surrounded her small home in the Colorado mountains. Rex had never been gone this long before. The German Shepherd mix was her constant companion, following her everywhere during her work as a park ranger. He was smart, loyal, and always came when she called. But not tonight. The strange lights in the sky had started 3 nights ago. Maya had seen aurora before, but never this far south and never in colors like these. Green and purple ribbons of light danced across the stars, but there were also flashes of silver and blue that seemed to pulse with their own rhythm. The local weather station said it was just unusual solar activity, but Maya felt something different in the air. Her radio crackled with static. Her compass spun wildly, and even her watch had stopped working properly. Rex had been restless that first night, pacing around the cabin and whining at the door. Maya had let him out for what she thought would be a quick bathroom break. That was the last time she saw him. She had searched the forest trails during the day, posted signs in town, and asked every neighbor within 10 miles. Nobody had seen a large brown and black dog with bright amber eyes. Maya worked for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Department, but she also helped the local veterinarian when needed. She knew how dangerous the wilderness could be for a lost dog. There were bears, mountain lions, and steep cliffs that could trap or hurt an animal. The thought of Rex injured and alone made her stomach twist with worry. On the 4th morning, Maya woke before dawn to the sound of scratching at her front door. She jumped from bed and ran downstairs, hope filling her chest, but when she opened the door, her relief turned to shock. Rex sat on the porch, tail wagging, but he was not alone. Next to him sat a young woman unlike anyone Maya had ever seen. Her skin was a pale blue color, like morning sky before sunrise. Her hair was long and silver, catching the early light like metal threads. She wore strange clothes that looked like they were made from some kind of smooth, dark material that seemed to shift color when she moved. Most striking were her eyes, which were large and completely silver, with no visible pupils. The woman appeared to be hurt. There were cuts on her arms and legs, and she held one hand against her side as if protecting a wound. She looked up at Maya with those strange silver eyes, and Maya could see both fear and hope in her expression. The woman said something in a language Maya had never heard before. The sounds were musical, but urgent. Rex stood up and walked over to Maya, pressing against her legs the way he always did when he wanted attention. But instead of looking at Maya, he kept turning his head toward the blue-skinned woman. He whined softly and then walked back to sit beside her. Maya had never seen Rex act this way with a stranger. Usually he was friendly but cautious with new people. Now he seemed to be protecting this unusual woman. Maya knelt down slowly, not wanting to frighten the injured stranger. Up close, she could see that the cuts were not from animal claws or tree branches. They looked clean, almost like burns from some kind of energy. The woman's clothes were torn in places, and Maya could see small pieces of what looked like metal embedded in the fabric. The woman spoke again, reaching out toward Maya with one hand while the other still pressed against her wounded side. Her voice was soft and musical, but Maya could hear the pain in it. Rex barked once, a short, sharp sound, and then looked directly at Maya. It was as if he was trying to tell her something important. Maya made a decision. Whatever this woman was, wherever she had come from, she was hurt and needed help. Maya was trained in first aid for her park ranger job, and she had assisted the local vet enough times to know how to treat wounds. The woman's blue skin might be strange, but she bled red blood just like any human. Maya gestured toward the cabin, speaking slowly and clearly. The woman seemed to understand and tried to stand up. Rex immediately moved to her side, letting her lean against him for support. Together, the three of them made their way into Maya's small living room. Maya helped the woman sit on her couch and then went to get her first aid supplies. When she returned, she found Rex sitting right next to the couch, his head resting on the woman's uninjured leg. The woman was gently stroking his fur and speaking to him in her strange language. Rex's tail was wagging, and he looked more content than Maya had seen him since his return. As Maya began to clean and bandage the woman's wounds, she noticed something else unusual. The woman's body temperature was slightly higher than human, normal, and her pulse was faster. But her injuries healed remarkably quickly under Maya's care. Cuts that should have taken days to close were already beginning to knit together. The woman pointed to herself and said a word that sounded like Zara. Maya pointed to herself and said, "Maya?" Then pointed to the dog and said, "Rex." The woman, Zara, repeated both names perfectly, her voice giving them a musical quality. As the morning sun filled the cabin with warm light, Maya found herself sitting across from an alien being while her dog acted as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Zara had fallen asleep on the couch, exhaustion finally overtaking her. Rex lay on the floor beside her, but he was not sleeping. He was watching, guarding, protecting this strange woman as if she was the most important thing in his world. Maya sat in her kitchen chair drinking coffee and trying to make sense of what had happened. 3 days ago, her biggest worry was a missing dog. Now she was harboring what was clearly not a human being, and her loyal companion seemed to have formed some kind of bond with this alien woman that Maya did not understand. The strange lights were gone from the sky, but Maya had a feeling that her quiet life in the mountains was about to become much more complicated. Zara slept for almost 18 hours straight. Maya checked on her every few hours, amazed at how quickly the alien woman was healing. The deep cuts on her arms had closed completely, leaving only faint silver lines where they had been. Rex never left Zara's side except to eat and drink, and even then he hurried back to his post beside the couch. When Zara finally woke, Maya was sitting at her kitchen table reading. The sound of movement made her look up to find those large silver eyes watching her. Zara sat up slowly, testing her injuries, and seemed surprised at how much better she felt. She looked around the cabin with curiosity, taking in the simple furniture, the photographs on the walls, and the books scattered on various surfaces. Rex immediately stood up and walked over to Zara, placing his head in her lap. She smiled and began speaking to him in her musical language. What surprised Maya was that Rex seemed to respond. His ears moved as if he was listening carefully, and he made small sounds back to Zara, almost like he was trying to talk. Maya got up and brought Zara a glass of water and some simple food. Zara accepted both gratefully, though she examined the bread and fruit carefully before eating. She pointed to the water and said something that sounded like a question. Maya said water clearly, and Zara repeated it with perfect pronunciation. Over the next few hours, Maya learned that Zara was incredibly intelligent and quick to learn. She picked up English words fast, and soon they were having basic conversations. Zara would point to objects, and Maya would name them. In return, Zara taught Maya some words in her own language, though Maya had trouble with the musical tones. But the most interesting thing was how Rex acted as a bridge between them. When Zara was trying to explain something complex and running out of English words, Rex would bark or whine in specific patterns. Somehow, Maya began to understand what Zara was trying to say. It was as if Rex was translating emotions and ideas that words could not carry. On the second day, Maya learned more about what had happened to Zara. Using simple English mixed with gestures and drawings, Zara explained that she had been traveling in a ship when something went wrong. There had been lights and spinning, and then she found herself falling through the sky above Maya's forest. Her ship was damaged and had crashed somewhere in the mountains. Rex had found her the night she crashed. She had been hurt and scared, but Rex had stayed with her, keeping her warm and safe. Zara described how Rex had led her to water and even brought her berries to eat. For 3 days, he had cared for her while she healed enough to travel. Then he had brought her home to Maya. Maya was amazed by this story. Rex was a smart dog, but what Zara described sounded almost impossible. Yet she could see the bond between them. Rex understood when Zara was thirsty before she even asked for water. He would bring her things she needed without being told. And Zara seemed to know when Rex wanted to go outside or was getting hungry. On the third day, Maya got an unexpected visitor. She was working in her small garden behind the cabin when Rex suddenly stood up and looked toward the forest. His ears were forward, but his tail was wagging. Maya heard footsteps on the path, but they were too light to be from anyone she knew in town. A woman emerged from the trees, but Maya could tell immediately that this was not an ordinary person either. She was tall and graceful, with long blonde hair and pointed ears. Her clothes looked old-fashioned but were made from beautiful materials that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Her eyes were green like deep forest pools, and when she looked at Maya, there was an ancient wisdom in her gaze. The woman spoke in perfect English, though her accent was unlike anything Maya had heard before. She introduced herself as Luna Starweaver, and said she had been watching Maya's cabin since Zara arrived. Luna explained that she was what humans called an elf, though her people had many different names for themselves. Maya felt like her brain was going to explode. First an alien, now an elf. Luna seemed to understand her confusion and sat down on Maya's back steps, gesturing for Maya to join her. Rex came over and sat between them, as comfortable with Luna as he was with Zara. Luna explained that her people had been living secretly on Earth for thousands of years. They were guardians, watching over places where the barriers between worlds were thin. Maya's forest was one of these places, a spot where other dimensions touched their reality. The strange lights Maya had seen were not aurora, but signs that these barriers were opening. Zara's ship had not crashed by accident. It had been pulled through one of these dimensional openings while she was trying to escape from something terrible. Luna's people had felt the disturbance when Zara arrived, but they had also sensed something else. The barriers were becoming unstable, and more openings were forming. Luna told Maya that Zara's people, called the Kirvani, were refugees from a war that had destroyed their home world. They had been searching for safe places to live when Zara's scout ship was caught in the dimensional storm, but they were not the only ones who might come through the openings. Maya asked why Rex had been able to find and help Zara when Luna's people, who knew about these things, had not reached her first. Luna smiled and explained that some Earth animals were naturally sensitive to what she called soul resonance. They could sense when beings from other worlds were not dangerous, even if they looked strange or frightening. Rex had felt Zara's fear and pain, but he had also sensed her good heart. Dogs, Luna said, were especially good at this because they judged by feeling rather than appearance. Rex had chosen to help Zara because he could feel that she was kind and needed protection. This explained why Rex was so attached to Zara. It was not just that he had found her first. Their minds were connected in a way that allowed them to share emotions and simple thoughts. Zara could feel Rex's loyalty and love, while Rex could sense her gratitude and growing affection for both him and Maya. Luna told Maya that this connection was rare and precious. Most aliens who came to Earth could not form such bonds with its creatures. The fact that Rex and Zara had connected so strongly meant that her people might be able to find safety on Earth in ways that other refugees could not. But Luna also warned Maya that danger was coming. The same forces that had driven Zara's people from their home were following the refugee ships. If they found Earth, they would not be interested in making friends. They would see humans as either useful slaves or obstacles to be removed. Maya felt overwhelmed by everything Luna had told her. A week ago, her biggest responsibility was making sure hikers stayed on the marked trails. Now she was apparently housing an alien refugee, while an elf told her that Earth might be invaded by hostile forces from another dimension. Luna seemed to understand Maya's feelings. She placed a gentle hand on Maya's shoulder and told her that she did not have to face this alone. There were others, both human and elf, who knew about the hidden worlds and were prepared to help. But right now, the most important thing was keeping Zara safe and learning more about the connection she shared with Rex. As the sun set behind the mountains, Maya sat on her porch with an alien, an elf, and a dog who was apparently psychic. Rex lay between Zara and Maya, perfectly content with his strange new family. Zara was teaching Luna some words in the Kurvani language, while Luna shared stories about the hidden magic that existed in Maya's forest. Maya realized that her quiet life was definitely over, but looking at Rex's happy face and Zara's gentle smile, she found that she did not mind as much as she thought she would. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. 2 weeks after Zara's arrival, Maya woke to Rex barking frantically outside. She rushed to her window and saw strange lights moving through the forest, but these were not the wild aurora from before. These lights were controlled, moving in patterns, like aircraft searching for something. Zara was already awake, standing at the other window with fear clear in her silver eyes. Luna appeared at Maya's back door before Maya could even think about calling her. The elf looked worried as she explained that 3 more Kurvani ships had come through dimensional rifts during the night. They had crashed in different parts of the forest, and their crews were probably hurt and hiding. Luna's people were already moving to help them, but they needed Maya's assistance. Maya quickly understood why. As a park ranger, she knew every trail, cave, and hidden spot in these mountains. More importantly, she had Rex, and if other Kurvani refugees were as hurt and scared as Zara had been, they would need someone they could trust. Luna believed that Rex's connection to Zara might help him communicate with the other refugees. First crash site was 3 miles from Maya's cabin. When they arrived, Maya was shocked by what she saw. The Kurvani ship was beautiful even in its broken state, made from the same color-shifting material as Zara's clothes. But it had hit the ground hard, leaving a deep gouge in the earth and scattered pieces of strange metal among the trees. Rex immediately began sniffing around the crash site, his nose leading him toward a cluster of large rocks. He barked softly, and Maya heard a weak response from behind the stones. 2 Kurvani refugees emerged slowly, a man and a woman who looked similar to Zara but older. They were both injured and clearly afraid. Zara spoke to them in her musical language, and Maya could see the relief in their faces when they realized she was safe. Rex approached the male refugee carefully, tail wagging low in a friendly but respectful way. The man reached out hesitantly and touched Rex's head. Immediately, his fearful expression softened, and he said something to his companion that made her smile. Luna explained later that Rex was doing something remarkable. He was sharing his feelings of safety and trust through his connection with Zara, and somehow that emotional message was reaching the other Kurvani as well. They could feel that Rex had protected Zara, and that Maya and Luna were friends who could be trusted. Over the next several days, Maya's quiet mountain community became a secret refugee camp. Luna's people used their magic to hide the crash sites and create shelters that looked like ordinary caves or rock formations. Maya helped coordinate food and medical supplies, while Rex became an unofficial ambassador between the humans and the Kurvani refugees. There were 12 Kurvani survivors in total, and Maya learned more about their tragic story. Their homeworld had been attacked by something called the hegemony, a group of militaristic species that believed other races were inferior and should serve them or be destroyed. The Kurvani had been peaceful explorers and scientists, but their advanced technology and unwillingness to submit had made them targets. Zara had been part of a scouting mission to find safe worlds where her people could rebuild their civilization. Her ship had been damaged while escaping a hegemony patrol, and the dimensional storm had pulled her to Earth. The other ships had followed her signal through the rifts, hoping to find their missing scout alive. Maya was amazed by how quickly Rex adapted to his new role. He seemed to understand that each Kervani refugee needed different kinds of help. With the injured, he was gentle and calm. With those who were scared, he was playful and reassuring. With the angry ones who wanted to fight back against the hegemony, he was patient and somehow convinced them to focus on healing first. But Rex was not the only Earth animal forming connections with the Kervani. Other dogs from the nearby town began appearing in the forest, drawn by something they could not explain. Bears and deer that should have been afraid of so many strangers instead watched the refugee camp peacefully. Even the local birds seemed to understand that the blue-skinned visitors were not a threat. Luna told Maya that this was unprecedented. Earth animals had always been sensitive to dimensional visitors, but never before had they shown such acceptance of alien refugees. She believed it was because the Kervani themselves were peaceful and afraid, emotions that Earth's creatures could sense and respond to with compassion. The peaceful situation changed when Maya received an unexpected visit from 2 government agents. They said they were investigating unusual electromagnetic readings in the area, but Maya could tell they suspected more than just solar storms. Rex growled at them, something he rarely did with humans, and Maya realized that her dog could sense their hostile intentions. Luna used her magic to make the agents forget what they had seen, but she warned Maya that more would come. The dimensional rifts were creating disturbances that human technology could detect, and eventually someone would figure out what was really happening. They needed to prepare for the possibility that the Kervani refugees would be discovered. Maya found herself making a choice she never expected to face. She could try to convince the refugees to hide deeper in the mountains, or she could help them integrate into human society. Some of the townspeople already knew Maya was helping displaced persons from the recent storms. If she could slowly introduce them to the idea that their new neighbors were different but friendly, maybe they could build a community instead of hiding in fear. Zara supported Maya's plan. She had learned enough English to communicate basics, ideas, and her connection with Rex allowed her to understand human emotions in ways that other Kervani could not. She believed that humans and Kervani could live together peacefully, but she also knew that not all humans would be as accepting as Maya. The test came when old Pete Morrison, who ran the general store in town, drove up to Maya's cabin unannounced. Pete had known Maya since she was a child, and he was worried about her living alone so far from town during all the strange weather. Maya made a quick decision and introduced him to Zara as a friend who was staying with her after losing her, home in the storms. Pete was surprised by Zara's unusual appearance, but Rex's obvious affection for her put the old man at ease. Zara's gentle manner and broken but earnest English made Pete protective rather than suspicious. When she helped him carry groceries from his truck with strength that seemed impossible for her small frame, Pete just laughed and said she reminded him of his late wife, who had also been tougher than she looked. That evening, Pete stayed for dinner and listened to Zara's carefully edited story about losing her family and home. By the time he left, he was calling her Sweetie and promising to bring her more supplies from town. Maya realized that if Rex had not been there to provide emotional context, Pete might have reacted very differently to meeting an obvious non-human. But Maya's success with Pete gave her hope. If one kind human could accept Zara, maybe others could learn to welcome the Kervani refugees. The connection between Rex and Zara was proving to be more than just a friendship between different species. It was becoming a bridge that could help. 2 worlds learned to trust each other. Unfortunately, not everyone would be as open-minded as Pete. Luna brought disturbing news from her people's watchers in other parts of the world. The hegemony had detected the dimensional rifts that brought the Kervani to Earth. Their scout ships were already investigating nearby star systems, and it was only a matter of time before they traced the rifts back to their source. Maya looked at Rex sleeping peacefully next to Zara by the fireplace, and she realized that their small mountain community was about to become the center of an interstellar conflict. The bond between her dog and an alien girl might be the key to Earth's survival, but first they had to survive what was coming for them. The hegemony ships arrived on a Tuesday morning, appearing in Earth's sky like dark metal clouds. Maya was helping Zara practice her English when every piece of electronic equipment in her cabin started screaming with alarms. Rex began howling, a sound Maya had never heard from him before, and all the Kervani refugees emerged from their hidden shelters with terror in their silver eyes. Luna appeared at Maya's door within minutes, her normally calm face tight with worry. She explained that the hegemony had sent a small fleet to Earth, demanding the immediate surrender of all Kervani refugees. They had given humanity 48 hours to comply, or Earth would be classified as a hostile harbor world and face the same destruction that had befallen the Kervani homeworld. Maya felt sick as she watched the news reports. World leaders were panicking, and many were already talking about giving up the refugees to save Earth from alien invasion. Military forces were mobilizing, but Luna told Maya that human weapons would be useless against hegemony technology. The aliens had destroyed entire civilizations with fleets much larger than Earth's combined military forces. But Maya refused to give up. She had seen how Rex and Zara communicated, how the connection between them created understanding that went beyond words or appearances. If one dog could bridge the gap between species, maybe humanity's natural ability to form bonds could be the key to something larger. Maya called an emergency meeting of everyone who knew about the Kervani refugees. Pete Morrison came from town, along with Dr. Sarah Kim, the local veterinarian who had helped treat the injured aliens. Several of Luna's people emerged from their hidden homes in the forest, including Marcus Treewalker, who had been secretly teaching at the local school for 20 years. The group gathered in Luna's hidden grove, a place where elf magic made their conversations invisible to both human satellites and alien sensors. Maya stood in the center of the circle with Rex at her side, and Zara holding her hand. She told everyone about her plan, and she could see doubt in many faces. Maya wanted to use the connection between Rex and Zara as a template for building a resistance network. Instead of hiding from the hegemony or trying to fight them with weapons, they would use humanity's greatest strength, the ability to form unlikely alliances and inspire loyalty across species lines. Rex had shown that Earth animals could bond with alien refugees. Maya had proven that humans could welcome strange visitors with kindness instead of fear. Now they needed to scale that up and show the galaxy that Earth was not just another world to be conquered, but a place where different species could unite against tyranny. Dr. Kim spoke first, explaining that she had been treating not just the Kervani refugees, but also local animals that had formed bonds with them. Dogs, cats, horses, and even wild creatures were showing signs of psychic connections. With the aliens, the animals were becoming protective of their new alien friends and seemed able to communicate in ways that neither species had shown before. Marcus added that some of his human students were also developing unusual abilities after spending time around the Kervani children. They were becoming more empathetic, better at understanding emotions, and strangely good at learning new languages. It was as if proximity to the psychically gifted aliens was awakening dormant abilities in both humans and Earth animals. Luna revealed that her people had been secretly preparing for this moment for centuries. The elves had hidden weapons, vehicles, and communication networks throughout Earth's wilderness areas. They had been waiting for a time when humanity would need to stand united against a threat from beyond their world. Zara spoke up in her improving English, telling the group about hegemony tactics. They always tried to divide their targets by offering to spare those who cooperated in destroying those who resisted. But Zara had studied their conquests, and she knew that the hegemony never kept their promises. They would enslave or destroy humanity eventually, whether humans helped them or not. Maya felt the weight of impossible odds, but then she looked at Rex. Her dog was sitting calmly between her and Zara, completely unafraid. He trusted Maya to find a solution, just as he had trusted himself to help an injured alien in the forest. If Rex could have that kind of faith, Maya could find the courage to try. The plan they developed was ambitious, beyond anything Maya had ever imagined. Instead of trying to hide the Kurvani refugees, they would reveal them to the world in a way that emphasized cooperation rather than invasion. They would show humanity that the aliens were not conquerors, but families seeking safety, and that Earth's animals had already accepted them as friends. Pete volunteered to begin spreading the word in town, introducing people to Kurvani refugees gradually and letting them see the bonds forming between the aliens and local pets. Dr. Kim would document the positive effects of human-Kurvani contact, providing scientific evidence that the refugees were beneficial rather than threatening. Marcus and the other hidden elves would begin revealing themselves to humans they trusted, showing that Earth had always been home to multiple intelligent species. But the most important part of the plan involved Rex and Zara. Their connection had grown stronger over the weeks, to the point where they could share complex thoughts and emotions almost instantly. Luna believed that if they could demonstrate this bond publicly, it might inspire others to see the possibility of peaceful coexistence. Maya decided to make a video message that would be broadcast around the world. She would tell the story of how Rex had found and protected Zara, and she would let people see the obvious love and trust between them. If humanity could understand that their dogs and cats were choosing to protect these refugees, maybe they would question whether the aliens were really the threat. The video was filmed in Maya's cabin, with Rex and Zara sitting together by the fireplace. Maya told their story simply and honestly, explaining how her lost dog had returned with an injured alien girl, and how that simple act of kindness had grown into something that might save both their species. Zara spoke directly to the camera, her English now clear enough for everyone to understand. She thanked Rex for saving her life, thanked Maya for welcoming her into their home, and thanked humanity for showing her people that not all species in the galaxy chose conquest over compassion. Rex, as if he understood the importance of the moment, stood up and walked over to Zara. He placed his head in her lap and looked directly into the camera with his intelligent amber eyes. The connection between them was so obvious that even people who knew nothing about psychic bonds could see the genuine affection and trust they shared. Luna used her magic to ensure the video reached every news, network, and social media platform simultaneously, bypassing all attempts at censorship. Within hours, it was being watched by billions of people around the world. The response was overwhelming and immediate. Pet owners everywhere began reporting that their animals were showing unusual interest in the aliens on television. Dogs were sitting attentively through news reports about the Kurvani. Cats were purring at images of the refugees, and even farm animals seemed calmer when the alien crisis was discussed. Children, too, were responding with curiosity rather than fear, asking their parents if they could meet the space people who made the dogs happy. But the most important response came from the hegemony itself. Their ships detected the sudden change in Earth's electromagnetic signature as billions of humans began shifting from fear to protective anger. The hegemony commander sent a threatening message, demanding that Earth stop contaminating the refugees with human influence. Maya realized that the hegemony was afraid of something they had never encountered before. A world where different species chose to stand together instead of fighting each other. The bond between Rex and Zara had become a symbol of something that threatened the hegemony's entire philosophy of conquest and domination. The real test would come when hegemony forces landed on Earth to take the refugees by force. But Maya felt hope for the first time since the alien ships appeared. Rex was sitting beside her, completely confident that his human and his alien friend would find a way to protect their growing family. And around the world, other humans were, looking at their own pets and wondering if they too could build bridges between the stars. The hegemony landing ships touched down in Maya's valley exactly 48 hours after their ultimatum expired. Maya watched from her cabin window as dark metal vehicles descended through the morning mist, their alien designs making them look like predatory insects settling onto the earth. Rex stood beside her, no longer afraid but alert and ready. Zara placed her hand on Maya's shoulder, and through their shared connection with Rex, Maya could feel the alien woman's determination mixed with gratitude. Luna's people had spent the last 2 days preparing, but not in the way the hegemony expected. Instead of building weapons or fortifications, they had been spreading the word about what was really at stake. The hidden elves had revealed themselves to humans throughout the region, explaining that Earth had always been a world where different species lived together peacefully. Maya was amazed by how quickly the local community had rallied together. Pete Morrison had brought his hunting rifle, but he had also brought his old blue-tick hound, Duke, who had formed an instant bond with one of the younger Kurvani refugees. Dr. Kim arrived with a van full of medical supplies and her 3 cats, all of whom had been acting strangely protective since the aliens arrived. Even more surprising were the people Maya barely knew who showed up to help. Families from town brought their dogs, teenagers came with their horses, and local farmers arrived with trucks full of livestock that seemed unusually calm, despite the alien invasion happening around them. Maya realized that the video of Rex and Zara had done more than just change public opinion. It had awakened something in humans that they had forgotten they possessed. The hegemony commander was a tall, gray-skinned alien whose species Maya did not recognize. He emerged from the largest landing ship wearing armor that gleamed like black metal and carrying weapons that hummed with deadly energy. Behind him came a squad of soldiers from different alien species, all united by their belief that might made right. The commander spoke through a translation device, his words echoing across the valley in perfect English. He demanded the immediate surrender of all Kurvani refugees and warned that any humans who interfered would be considered enemy combatants. Maya felt fear grip her stomach, but then Rex barked once, a sharp sound that somehow made her feel braver. Maya stepped out of her cabin with Rex at her side and Zara close behind. Luna emerged from the forest with several of her people, while Pete and the other humans spread out in a loose line across the valley. They were vastly outnumbered and outgunned, but Maya noticed that every human had at least one animal companion, and every animal looked ready to fight. The hegemony commander pointed one of his weapons at Maya and repeated his demand. Maya took a deep breath and told him that the Kurvani refugees were under Earth's protection, and that his people were not welcome on their world. The commander laughed, a harsh sound that made several of the human dogs growl in response. But when the commander ordered his soldiers to open fire, something unexpected happened. The weapons that should have killed Maya and her friends instead produced only harmless light. Luna stepped forward and explained that elf magic had been quietly draining the power from hegemony equipment since they landed. The aliens' technology was useless on Earth as long as the planet's native species stood united against them. The commander was furious, but Maya could see confusion in his eyes as well. He had conquered dozens of worlds, but he had never encountered a situation where the native wildlife actively opposed his forces. Earth's animals were not just defending their human companions. They were working together in ways that defied everything the hegemony understood about planetary ecosystems. Rex walked forward until he was standing between Maya and the hegemony commander. The big dog looked up at the alien invader and barked. Again. But this time the sound was different. It carried emotion and meaning that even species without psychic abilities could understand. Rex was telling the commander that Earth was protected, that its creatures would fight for their chosen family, and that love was stronger than fear. Other animals began adding their voices to Rex's message. Dogs barked, cats yowled, horses whinnied, and even wild birds filled the air with calls of defiance. The sound grew until the entire valley echoed with the voices of Earth's creatures, standing together against invasion. Zara stepped forward and spoke to the hegemony commander in a language Maya recognized as the aliens' own. Her words were calm, but firm, and Maya could feel through their connection that Zara was explaining something the commander had never considered. She was telling him about the bonds she had formed on Earth, about the love and protection she had received from beings who owed her nothing. The commander's response was angry and dismissive, but Maya noticed that some of his soldiers were looking uncomfortable. They had never seen their victims defended by an entire planet's ecosystem, and they were beginning to wonder if the hegemony's philosophy of conquest was as absolute as they had been taught. The battle, when it came, was unlike anything in the galaxy's recorded history. The hegemony forces tried to use their advanced technology to overwhelm Earth's defenders, but Luna's magic had made their weapons unreliable. More importantly, they found themselves fighting not just humans and elves, but an entire world that had chosen to resist them. Maya watched in amazement as her neighbors worked together with abilities they had never known they possessed. Pete's Hound Duke led a pack of local dogs in coordinated attacks that confused and scattered alien soldiers. Dr. Kim's cats moved like shadows, disabling equipment with surgical precision. Even farm animals joined the fight, with horses and cattle using their size and strength to protect the smaller creatures. But the most incredible sight was Rex and Zara fighting as a perfectly coordinated team. Rex could sense what Zara needed before she asked, while Zara could anticipate Rex's movements and provide support exactly when and where it was needed. They moved together like two parts of the same being, and their connection seemed to inspire similar cooperation in everyone around them. The turning point came when the hegemony commander found himself surrounded by Maya, Rex, Zara, and Luna. His weapons were dead, his soldiers were scattered, and he was facing the impossible reality that his superior technology had been defeated by the power of interspecies friendship. Luna offered him a choice. His forces could leave Earth immediately and spread the word that this world was under the protection of the Galactic Refugee Alliance, a new organization that would welcome peaceful visitors but destroy anyone who threatened its members. Or he could stay and learn what it meant to live in a community where different species supported each other instead of conquering each other. The commander chose to leave, but several of his soldiers chose to stay. They were tired of conquest and curious about the connections they had seen between humans, elves, animals, and Kurvani. Maya realized that Earth's example might do more than just protect the refugees. It might start a revolution that would change the entire galaxy. In the months that followed, Maya's quiet mountain valley became the headquarters of something unprecedented in galactic history. The Galactic Refugee Alliance grew as more species learned that there was an alternative to the hegemony's rule of fear. Ships arrived regularly through Luna's carefully managed dimensional portals, bringing refugees from across the galaxy who were seeking the kind of safety and acceptance that Zara had found with Rex and Maya. Maya became the first human ambassador to the Alliance, but she never moved far from her original cabin. Rex was now the father of a litter of puppies who showed remarkable psychic abilities, each one bonding with different alien species as they matured. Zara had chosen to stay on Earth permanently, working with Luna to establish refugee settlements throughout the world's wilderness areas. The old grocery store that Pete Morrison ran became an interspecies trading post, where humans could exchange Earth goods for alien technology and knowledge. Dr. Kim opened the first veterinary clinic for off-world species, learning to treat ailments in creatures that Earth medicine had never imagined. Maya often sat on her porch in the evenings, watching Rex play with his puppies and the various alien children who had made Earth their new home. Zara would sit beside her, practicing new English words or teaching Maya phrases in the dozens of languages spoken by their growing community. The bond between a lost dog and an injured alien girl had become the foundation of something that was changing the galaxy. Rex had taught everyone that love and loyalty could cross any barrier, whether it was between species, worlds, or dimensions. Maya had learned that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could have consequences that reached beyond the stars. Earth was no longer just a single world spinning alone in space. It had become the heart of a growing family of species who had chosen cooperation over conquest, love over fear, and friendship over power. And it had all started with a dog who refused to leave an alien girl alone in the forest, and a human who chose to trust her pet's judgment about who deserved protection. Maya smiled as she watched Rex settle down for the night, surrounded by his strange and wonderful family. Tomorrow would bring new challenges as more refugees arrived and the alliance grew stronger. But tonight, in the peaceful valley that had become the center of galactic change, everything was exactly as it should.